What if I told you that one of Europe's most famous liberal societies wasn't built on ideals of freedom, but on a foundation of fear? That its celebrated tolerance has less to do with open-mindedness and more to do with a brutal, centuries-long war against the ocean itself. We see the Netherlands as a postcard of canals, tulips, and bicycles. But beneath this placid surface lies a story of radical pragmatism, forged in a land that shouldn't logically exist. This isn't just a trip to see Amsterdam. This is a journey to understand how a nation living on a knife's edge between the sea and survival engineered not just its land, but its very soul. Forget what you think you know. We're here to uncover the real Netherlands. The first lesson in deciphering the Dutch psyche begins on the streets of Amsterdam, coded into the very brick and mortar of its iconic canal houses. A visitor sees charm, a whimsical cityscape of impossibly narrow buildings leaning against each other like tired, old friends. But this isn't whimsy, it's a masterclass in economic pragmatism. For centuries, property taxes were levied based on the width of a house's facade along the canal. The logical, profit-driven response: build narrow and build deep. The result is a city that grew inwards and upwards, creating long, slender homes that hide their true size from the taxman. Look up, and you'll see the prominent hooks jutting from the gables. These aren't decorative flourishes. They are hoisting beams, the only way to move furniture and goods into the upper floors, bypassing the dangerously steep and narrow staircases that were another consequence of this space-saving design. Every feature tells a story of a problem solved, but the most revealing architectural feature is one of omission. As dusk settles, walk through the Jordan or along the Grand Herengracht Canal, and you'll witness something that feels almost intrusive to an outsider. The curtains are wide open. Life unfolds in a public diorama. You see families at the dinner table, friends debating over wine, individuals lost in a book under the warm glow of a lamp. This tradition is often superficially explained by Calvinist doctrine, the idea that the righteous have nothing to hide from God or their neighbors. But it runs deeper, tapping into a core cultural value of transparency. It's a societal statement that honesty and openness are the default settings. Yet, this very openness coexists with a fiercely protected private world. Behind those open windows lies the concept of gezelligheid. This untranslatable Dutch word is often poorly rendered as coziness, but it's more profound. It's a feeling of warmth, comfort, and belonging with loved ones, a sanctuary from the often damp and dreary world outside. The Dutch home is a fortress of gezelligheid, and the open curtain is a curious paradox, an invitation to look, but not to enter. It's a display of transparency that simultaneously reinforces a private boundary. This is the first of many contradictions we'll uncover, a society that values radical openness while cherishing a deeply private inner world. It's a clue that in the Netherlands, what you see is rarely the whole story. To truly understand the Netherlands, you must grasp its impossible geography. Over a quarter of the country lies below sea level. The very ground beneath Amsterdam's Schiphol Airport, one of Europe's busiest hubs, is a former lakebed, sitting 4 meters below the waves of the North Sea. This is not a historical footnote. It is a constant, pressing reality. For more than a millennium, the story of this nation has been a relentless war against water. Long before the famous dikes, the earliest inhabitants, the Frisians, built their homes on artificial mounds called turpin to escape the storm surges. But it was in the Middle Ages that the real battle began, a systematic campaign to not just defend against the sea, but to conquer it. The iconic windmills, now a symbol of pastoral charm, were the original engines of this conquest. Industrial, scale pumps that drained lakes and wetlands, creating the fertile reclaimed land known as polders. This constant, existential threat forged a national character, unlike any other in Europe. When your neighbor's failure to maintain their section of the dike means certain death and destruction for your entire community, individualism becomes a fatal flaw. Cooperation is not a choice, it's a survival mechanism. This necessity gave birth to the Waterschappen, or water boards, some of the oldest democratic institutions in the world, established in the 13th century. On the water board, nobles, farmers, and city dwellers had to sit at the same table and reach a consensus, because the water did not care for social status. This ethos of forced cooperation evolved into what is now known as the polder model. It's a philosophy of consensus-driven decision-making that permeates every aspect of Dutch life, from national politics, where coalition governments are the norm, to labor negotiations and corporate boardrooms. It can be frustratingly slow and bureaucratic, but it ensures that all stakeholders are heard. The devastating North Sea flood of 1953, which killed over 1,800 people overnight, was a brutal reminder of the stakes. The response was not a political squabble. It was the swift, unified creation of the Delta Works, a colossal system of dams and storm surge barriers, so ambitious it has been declared one of the 7 wonders of the modern world. The polder model is the nation's software, a social technology developed to manage an environmental crisis, proving that the greatest Dutch engineering feat isn't their dams, but their society. In the 17th century, this small, waterlogged republic of pragmatic survivors exploded onto the world stage, initiating a century of unparalleled dominance known as the Dutch Golden Age. Amsterdam became the financial heart of the world, and its port was the busiest on earth. The engine of this golden century was a revolutionary invention, the Dutch East India Company, the VOC. To call it a mere trading company is a gross understatement. The VOC was the world's first multinational corporation, the first to issue stock, and at its zenith, it possessed a private army of 10,000 soldiers, a fleet of nearly 5,000 ships, and was granted the power to wage war, negotiate treaties, and establish colonies on behalf of the state. The wealth it generated was staggering, and it fundamentally reshaped Dutch society. This was not a kingdom of kings and clergy, but a republic of merchants, inventors, and citizens. And they wanted to see themselves reflected in their art. Walk through the hallowed halls of the Rijksmuseum, and you'll see this new world order on canvas. Instead of grand religious scenes or royal portraits, you see the masterpieces of Rembrandt, Hals, and Vermeer. In Rembrandt's The Night Watch, it's not a king or a general who takes center stage, but a civic guard of Amsterdam, a group of citizen soldiers. This was revolutionary. It was art celebrating the power of the collective, of the successful bourgeois. This era was also a crucible of intellectual freedom. While the rest of Europe was mired in religious wars, the relative tolerance of the Dutch Republic attracted thinkers from across the continent. Philosophers like René Descartes and Baruch Spinoza found refuge here, producing works that would form the bedrock of the Enlightenment. But this golden age had a profoundly dark and bloody foundation. The VOC's monopoly on spices like nutmeg and cloves was secured through unimaginable brutality. In 1621, on the Banda Islands, the company systematically slaughtered or enslaved almost the entire native population to seize control of the nutmeg trade. The Netherlands became a key hub in the transatlantic slave trade. with Dutch ships transporting over 500,000 enslaved Africans. This is the deep, haunting paradox of the Golden Age. The same society that championed republican freedoms at home and fostered intellectual inquiry built its fortune on colonial exploitation and human suffering. This uncomfortable legacy is something the Netherlands is now confronting more openly. A national reckoning with the fact that the beauty hanging in their museums was paid for with a currency of violence and oppression. This same unsentimental, results-oriented Dutch mindset is the key to understanding the country's most famous and frequently misunderstood social policies. Tourists flock to Amsterdam's coffee shops and the red light district, assuming they've arrived in a libertine paradise. The reality is far less romantic and far more logical. These policies are not a celebration of vice, but the ultimate expression of Dutch pragmatism. If you cannot eradicate a human behavior, you should control it, regulate it, tax it, and make it as safe as possible. Take the famous cannabis policy. Contrary to global belief, cannabis is not legal in the Netherlands. It exists in a state of legal limbo called gedoebeleid, or a policy of tolerance. Coffee shops are licensed to sell small amounts to individuals, allowing the government to control the point of sale, ensure product quality, and collect taxes. However, the back door, the supply chain that gets the cannabis to the coffee shops, remains technically illegal. It is a bizarre, seemingly illogical paradox that serves a very logical purpose: to separate the market for soft drugs from the dangerous, criminal underworld of hard drugs. It's a public health strategy disguised as liberal policy. The same logic applies to sex work. By legalizing and regulating the industry in 2000, the Dutch government moved it out of the shadows. Sex workers became registered taxpayers with access to healthcare and legal protections. The goal wasn't moral approval, it was to reduce crime, combat human trafficking, and improve public health. This philosophy extends to some of life's most profound questions. The Netherlands was the first country in the world to legalize same-sex marriage in 2001. It also has one of the world's most carefully regulated euthanasia laws, based on the principle of individual autonomy, under strict medical supervision. In each case, the approach is the same: confront difficult realities head-on, remove moral judgment from the equation, and engineer the most practical, humane solution possible. It is the Polder model applied to the human condition. The Dutch pragmatic approach to life finds its ultimate expression in the nation's work culture, a system that often induces a state of shock in visitors from the hustle-obsessed Anglo-Saxon world. The Netherlands has, by a significant margin, the highest rate of part-time employment in the developed world. Nearly half of the entire workforce, and about 75% of working women, work less than 36 hours a week. This is not a symptom of economic decline. It is the hallmark of a system designed for life optimization. This is not a recent lifestyle trend. Its roots lie in the social movements of the 20th century. After World War II, a consensus emerged to build a stable society. Later, second-wave feminism in the 70s and 80s championed part-time work not as a compromise, but as a right, a way for women to participate in the economy without sacrificing family life. This evolved into a broader cultural embrace of work-life balance for everyone. The Dutch have even coined a word for this philosophy: Niksen, literally translating to doing nothing. It is the conscious, guilt-free art of being idle. It's not laziness. It's understood as a crucial time for the brain to process, recharge, and ultimately, be more creative. This cultural preference is reinforced by a strong social safety net and protective labor laws. Generous vacation time is the norm, and the line between work and private life is respected. The result: the Netherlands consistently ranks among the happiest countries on earth, and its children, in particular, report the highest levels of well-being globally. They have engineered a society that has decoupled economic success from punishing work hours. They have built one of the world's most innovative and competitive economies on a foundation of 30-hour work weeks, long holidays, and the unapologetic practice of doing absolutely nothing. It is perhaps their most counter-intuitive and brilliant social innovation. To equate the Netherlands with Amsterdam is a profound mistake. The capital, along with Rotterdam and The Hague, forms the Randstad, the country's dense economic and cultural core. But beyond this urban sprawl lies a nation of startling diversity and deep-seated regional identities. Venture south to the provinces of North Brabant and Limburg, and the cultural landscape shifts. This is the Catholic heartland with a more exuberant, Burgundian approach to life that feels closer to neighboring Belgium. It's a region that lives for carnival, a week of lavish parades and joyful chaos that stands in stark contrast to the reserved Calvinism of the north. This is also the cradle of Dutch design, centered around the city of Eindhoven. Once a humble company town for the electronics giant Philips, Eindhoven has reinvented itself as a global hub for technology and design, home to the world-renowned design academy. Then there is The Hague, Den Haag. While Amsterdam is the capital, The Hague is the seat of government, the home of the royal family, and the nerve center of Dutch politics. But its global significance is even greater. This is the International City of Peace and Justice, home to the International Court of Justice and the International Criminal Court. In the opulent halls of the Peace Palace, the world's nations come to settle their disputes. It's a modern role that feels like a conscious attempt to atone for a colonial past, using the wealth and influence once gained through conflict to now foster global peace. And to the north lies Friesland, a nation within a nation. It has its own officially recognized language, West Frisian, which is linguistically closer to Old English than to modern Dutch. It has its own unique sports, like viereljeppen, pole vaulting over canals, and its own cultural heroes. This fierce independence is a reminder that the Netherlands is not a monolith, but a federation of distinct cultures, bound together by a shared language and a shared struggle against the water. Life in this well-ordered, prosperous nation is built upon an invisible social contract, an agreement paid for by some of the highest taxes in the world. But for the Dutch, this is not a burden. It is a rational investment in the collective good. Those taxes fund the meticulously maintained infrastructure, the excellent public schools, the universal healthcare system, and a robust social safety net that catches citizens who fall on hard times. When you cycle on a perfectly smooth, segregated bike path or take a clean, punctual train to a distant town, you are experiencing the tangible returns of this contract. This belief in collective investment extends to human potential. The education system has produced one of the most multilingual populations on the planet. Around 90% of Dutch citizens are fluent in English, a pragmatic necessity for a small country dependent on global trade. This linguistic prowess is a deliberate educational strategy, creating a workforce ready for an interconnected world. However, this tightly woven social fabric is now facing its most significant test in generations. The ideal of a tolerant, open society is being challenged by the complexities of immigration and integration. The rise of populist politicians has exposed deep divisions over national identity and the place of Islam in Dutch society. These debates are often as direct and blunt as any Dutch conversation, challenging the cherished self-image of a universally tolerant nation. This ongoing struggle reveals the final Dutch truth that society, like their land, is not a finished product. It is a constant, ongoing project of negotiation, adaptation, and reinvention, an endless effort to maintain balance in a world of shifting tides. Our journey through the Netherlands reveals a country that is a living paradox. A place where openness is born from a history of enclosure, where liberalism is the product of strict logic, and where a relaxed pace of life is enabled by world-class efficiency. It's a land that teaches us that the greatest challenges, even the sea itself, can be met with ingenuity, cooperation, and a healthy dose of unsentimental pragmatism. Amsterdam may be the beautiful face the Netherlands shows the world, but its true soul is found in the relentless, invisible engineering that keeps the entire nation from sinking. What paradox about a country has surprised you the most on your travels? Share your thoughts or questions in the comments below. If this story opened up a new perspective for you, please share this video with a fellow traveler who loves to look deeper than the postcard view. And be sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most fascinating and misunderstood places. Thank you for exploring with me.